Welcome back, everyone, to Flight Path, the absolute best place to stay up to date with all things Tern. We are so glad that you're joining us on this Valentine's Day. So thank you for tuning in. We have a full agenda as always. And as I mentioned, this is the best place to learn about everything that's happening with Tern. If you're a Tern user, this is a great place to pick up tips and tricks that will help you better leverage the technology to grow your business. If you're thinking about Tern, this is a great way to learn how we approach problem solving, how we think about building technology. Either way, this is a podcast that you will want to like, you will want to subscribe to, and you want to turn on those notifications to make sure you get notified every Friday when we push out a new episode. Joined, as always, by our product team. Although I say as always, we've got a little bit kind of a celebration here. Molly, welcome back. So good to have you back on Flight Path.
I'm so glad to be back. And unfortunately, now Brad is on vacation, so we have to miss him. But I'm so happy to be back with the team.
We've got Brad out exploring some fun parts of the world. And then Jade also on the product team here as well. Jade wears 300 hats at Tern, whether it's product, training, helping structure the support team. You'll see Jade everywhere. So Jade, welcome back. How's your week been?
Thanks. Yeah, it's hard to sit in for Brad on the podcast, I gotta say, but I'll do my best. And yeah, it's so great to have Molly back. The team, feels really complete. And then once Brad is back, I think we're really going to be in a great spot.
Gonna be back.
We'll be
it's probably 20% of our audience that just dropped out once they found out Brad's not here. So it's
no, we didn't even having a podcast without him, but he's gone for a few weeks, so
should we cancel? I'll be like, we got a lot that we're still shipping, so we'll hold it. On the docket today, we've got a lot to update you on. We have commission rules for agency owners, which we're going to be talking about. We have a bunch of user feedback items, things that you all have been asking us to fix or tweak or change that we shipped, and so we're excited to celebrate that. But it's also a long weekend here. We've got Valentine's Day on Friday. We've got President's Day on Monday. Anybody doing anything fun for the long weekend? Jade, it looks like you're somewhere tropical and in a relaxing state of mind, if you will.
Yeah. I'm in Margaritaville, but in Lake Tahoe. So kind of the best of both worlds. Feels very beachy inside, and there's a snowstorm outside. So I'm excited to do some skiing this weekend.
Margaritaville is a hotel, right?
Margaritaville is a hotel, yeah.
Jade's like, no, this is like a Hampton Inn. I'm just in Margaritaville right now.
It's a drink on the side.
Yeah, exactly. Got like the thermos, but start the weekend early. Well, that is very fun, and hopefully you're skiing, right? So the snowstorm should be nice.
Yeah, I'm skiing. So yeah, there's some fresh snow.
Nice. And Molly, how about you? Any big adventures planned? I mean, you have nothing else going on in your life, right?
No, absolutely not. It's gonna be a weekend. I've got a 4-week-old and an 18-month-old, and me and my husband are just gonna be kind of surviving, I think, and try, some really fun stuff too. But my 1-month-old just started smiling at us, which is really cute. And my almost 2-year-old Riley is like now hugging him. So there's some cute stuff too, but it's just my life is anarchy right now.
It's just chaos, but like also there's like a heart melting moments where you're like, wow, that core memory unlocked, right? Yeah. Love that. Yeah, we were just talking before we kind of turned on the recording. I'm up in northern Michigan. I arrived literally moments ago to this kind of cottage, and there's a lot more snow up here. We've got about 2 feet of snow, and the driveway was not plowed. So got my cardio in this morning. I'm feeling really good, doing some shoveling. But I'm actually a little anxious about it, but we're going to try a digital detox this weekend. So after work today, shutting the laptop, turning off the phone, no TV, no internet. We're giving ourselves Kindle, but we're just like going to try and get till Monday without like doing anything online. And I think it'll be good for me, but I'm quite anxious about it. So we'll report back next week on if I remain sane or not.
A weekend without checking the Tern Facebook group, David? Are you going to be okay?
I know. Facebook group. I mean, most weekends I'm like doing some work, right? So it's like I'm like, am I going to feel better or am I going to feel more anxious and behind? Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I'll report back on Monday or Tuesday. All right. We have one big announcement before we get into what we shipped this week, which is because it's the kind of Valentine's Day, because it's President's Day, because it's the middle of the winter, we're like, let's run a special and kind of celebrate our love for all of you, the users and the community that makes Tern so special, that makes us so excited to wake up every day, to work so hard, make it so that when we do work weekends, it doesn't feel like we're working weekends because we just love what we do. And so let's recognize you as the kind of community that makes all that possible. So we are doing something pretty cool. We've got a special running through Monday night, where if you refer anybody to Tern, about 80% of our users have come to Tern because of a referral. And so we want to recognize that. We're paying double the referral bonuses. So it's normally $10 per person that signs up. You both get $10 credit towards Tern. For now until Monday night, it's $20. So you'll get $20 for every person that converts from their trial. They'll get $20 off their first bill, which means effectively you can get a month and a half of Tern for $25 if you're doing the monthly plan. But the cool thing is you can also use the referral code for the first time ever towards our annual sale. So if you or your referee signs up for an annual subscription, right now annual subscriptions are only $399. Normally they're $420. But if you have a referral code, then it's $379. So it's like $31.50 per month for Tern for your whole year. It's the only tool they need to run their business, especially coming out of wave season or in the middle of wave season, right? Having Tern is a great way to kind of manage that stress and start to kind of consolidate everything. So wanted to talk about that. If you have questions, let us know. But again, that expires on Monday night, Monday of President's Day. So take advantage of it while it lasts. You can find your referral code under settings. You go to referrals, you'll find a code or kind of a link that you can copy and paste. When your referee clicks on that, it'll drop a cookie that will help them, kind of autofill the referral code. But it's a good practice just to tell them to make sure that the referral code has been pre-filled after the email confirmation step. That's where they'll see the box at the bottom for the referral code. Okay, so that was the long sale promo, but want to make sure you all know about that. Let's move on to what we shipped this week, and we're going to kick off with a pretty big agency update. So if you're an agency owner, you're definitely going to want to tune into this. Jade, what is going on?
Yeah, really excited to talk about commission rules. And we really thought about this project in 3 different phases, but the goal was really to give agency owners the ability to control and have the flexibility around commission rates for your agents, set both in setting defaults, and then at the agent level, really being able to control how commission splits are defined as a part of your agent's booking. So we thought about this in 3 phases. The first was building out commission settings, letting you define a default date. The second part was adding different rates to your agents individually. And then the third part was adding different commission types and adding flexibility there. So I'll give you an overview of all 3 of those parts, but anything you want to add about commission rules? Molly, coming back in, I know this was something you were thinking about right before you left. So anything you want to add about that?
It was just really cool coming back and seeing it all come together, because it's one that we heard about on every single agency call, and everyone does things a little bit differently too. So I was very curious. I actually went on maternity leave very suddenly, and we were going to have the kickoff for the project literally the day that I was kept in the hospital. And so I came back. I was like, I really wonder how they figured all this out, and you guys did it. So excited to see a demo.
Great. Okay. So let's hop in. We'll start with the commission settings. So we've looked at this before, but if we open up commission settings here, we see some new things that have been added to this over time. So we started off, like I said, we just added that default payout date. So you could delay the payout to the travel start or the travel end date. Commission received, you could also still default to that.
And can I actually interrupt you here? Because it's like a little drop down. It's so huge. We were talking to agency owners where every single time they logged a commission payment, they had to take the time to go and adjust when that payment was eligible to actually pay their agents. And just the amount of time, if you're doing this for hundreds of bookings, it takes forever. And every single time you're like, I just want it to be the travel start date. So this little, drop down doesn't look like much, but saves so much time. So very exciting.
Yeah. And then we moved the default agent commission rate here within commission settings as well. This was a field that existed at the agency level, but now it's here. You can customize the name of the standard commission split too. Here we have it for 60. We'll see what this looks like in the individual team member profiles. But then we haven't announced this one yet, and we'll do like a larger announcement next week, hopefully. But we now see commission types at the top of the screen as well. I'm going through and we're doing a lot of testing with this today and into the start of next week. But you can add different commission types that are either visible to your team members as they create their bookings and submit those, or that are visible to only admins at the agency. So we can see here, I have a personal travel commission type that is 100%, that will apply 100% split, and it's admin only. So only admins at the agency will be able to add this to a booking. But a couple I have available actually to my agents to select. So an agency referral and then a February 2025 promotion that are adjustments on the default split for the agent. So this is going to make that adjustment automatically when they add that to the booking. We'll see what that looks like in practice.
And this is
a new type.
like just one other little detail here that kind of makes it special. Not only can you say personal travel is always 100%, but if you want to do something like promotion or what have you, that boosts or lowers the actual commission split. So if one agent has a 70% split, another is 80% split, they get 75 or 85. Like you can even do that, which is just so powerful. So that's not in every system. Many systems don't support that. I think it's a pretty cool special thing that Tern has.
Yeah, really exciting. So yeah, when we create a new commission type, we get to set if it's an adjustment or a flat rate, make it available. We can even archive these as, as they pass. So if there's a January promotion here that we were running, we've archived that. It's no longer visible, no longer in use on those bookings. So this is commission settings. Lots of updates. It's been really fun to see this, like all the pieces get added to this for these 3 parts as we worked through it internally. And then on the team side, so then if we open up our agents, if I open up my own profile here as the owner, I can see I have this standard commission split set on my account, but potentially I want to change this to 100%. And then the effective date, I can set in the past too, if I'm planning on submitting any bookings in the past. So let's just go ahead and set this in the past, and we'll save and close this. So now my default split will be 100% as I create bookings in the system. And then if I select any of those types with the adjustment, it will adjust accordingly. So
and maybe also just highlighting there too, and I think maybe we talked about this last week, but it's like, in case you missed that, you can add, if they like hit a sales goal, right? And you're like, okay, actually, like as of today forward, they are in the, you got it right here, right? There's like the sales goal that they hit. You can say, okay, they're actually like that effective date is bumped up, but then you were going to bring them down at the beginning of next year automatically. Like you can build out these kind of tiers with these effective dates to really have a ton of flexibility in how you manage the commission.
Yeah, if you do want to base, the different splits on an effective date for the booking created date, that's what that effective date is looking at, then yeah, you can see here, this agent has a 2024 rate that was at that default 60% split. Then 2025, they bumped up to 70. And then 2025, they hit a certain milestone. You can name this however makes the most sense for your agency. And then, they hit the sales goal. Now they're up to 90%. So, and that's effective as of February 1st, 2025. So any bookings created after that are going to get that default 90% split. Really exciting. Let's just take a look quickly. I won't jump into that particular agent, but if we go into our trips, I just want to show for a booking what this looks like. So if we open up, let's open up an itinerary here, and we'll go ahead and just add in an activity. And I'm going to go ahead into my booking and pricing here. And if we scroll down, this is where you're going to see this split. So we can see the standard split. If we select that for ourselves, it's 100% and that's locked. So same for your agents, that commission type standard is going to be locked here. If they need to change it, they can always switch it over to custom and you'll be notified on your end and see a very clear message that they've selected custom. And then we can see those that are available too. That agency referral is here. And some details about that, right? What it's doing, how it's adjusting this split. So we can see the agency referral has subtracted the 20% from my default, which is 100 at the agency level that we just saw. And then the February 2025 promotion, in this case, doesn't make sense because I'm already at 100%, but that agency referral, we can see that all applied here, and your agents will see the same. And then you'll be able to see all this information within the bookings and make adjustments as necessary. But this should hopefully really streamline, so you don't have to be changing and making, individual changes on those bookings as you're logging commission.
And we're doing some live QA here.
I know.
I think we should have a card where it just doesn't go above 100, right? Yeah.
I actually created the card.
Okay.
I actually created the card right before this for this case. So we'll definitely take care of it. I just, live demo, I wasn't paying attention.
Beautiful.
There it is. There it is.
People.
This is like the behind the curtain.
Yeah, we're testing this one, so this will be fixed.
But I think also, just like zooming out too, just to like help kind of, if you're an individual advisor, you're watching this, you're like, I'm not an agency owner, like, why does this matter? Last week we talked about kind of the vision for Tern, right? It's like to build this vertically integrated system. That means you as an IC advisor, maybe independent contractor under host, like you can just run your business in Tern, and the data is just available to your host agency to be able to kind of like automatically process supplier payments and reconcile your commission. And the more that we kind of dig in, there's so much inefficiency that host agencies and agency owners have to go through that you can literally add weeks to how long it takes to pay you, just because of the manual data management and those types of things can add huge amounts of unclaimed commissions because of like mismatched data entry. We see this where it's like, somebody actually typed in a 1 instead of an I, and it's like, well, can't match on that confirmation number now, that commission's unclaimed, and like you then have to go find it. So by bringing these all together, by building the agency tools necessary to understand like what should these defaults be, how do I do the math, how do we kind of calculate this, what should the commission percentage be, the impact will be felt whether you're an independent contractor, whether you're an agency owner, whether you're a host agency, in just massively increasing the efficiency, and by doing so, dramatically reducing unclaimed commissions. So it's really cool. I get so excited every time we demo one of these features, just because it's one step towards that vertically integrated end-to-end platform for the entire industry. And we really believe that's what this industry needs in order to reach its full potential. So very exciting. And maybe on that spirit, it's not the only thing we've been focused on this week, right? We've done a lot every week. You'll kind of see us, and Molly will talk about this in a minute, but like we were kind of moving forward on in the agency back office. But we got some very exciting wins on the advisor side that people have been asking about for probably years at this point. So Molly, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, this is a big one on traveler information on your trips. We now show their address. So again, just like saving all of those clicks. We know when you're doing so much volume, especially, and you just have so much manual work, having to click through the contact and then go to and find the address, you have to scroll all the way down and then copy it from there. Now it's just on the traveler information. You one click, copy and paste it. So that's pretty huge. It's already gotten some hype on our feedback tool, Canny.
It was hype when we released, just the contact, just changing the way that looked.
Yeah.
And we heard right away that, but I really want address. So it was so exciting that we were able to quickly follow that on.
Yep. And then on hotel properties and the address, we actually weren't showing country. And so if you were typing in like a specific hotel that has a bunch of different locations, you kind of like didn't know which one to choose. I think, David, you were frustrated by this one in particular.
We're doing the Asta River Cruise Expo, and Katie and I are going to do a couple days in Austria beforehand with our spouses, and I'm like planning our trip in Tern, and I'm like, there's 5 different hotels with the same name. The addresses are all long and crazy format. I'm like scrolling to the bottom of the hotel to figure out like what address maps to this, and it's like, but it doesn't have the country, and I was just like, this is really annoying. So very excited that personally I'm very excited that this was fixed.
Yeah, so that one's huge. And then we had a team meeting yesterday, and Ellen, who I think if you're a longtime podcast subscriber or ever write into support, you probably know Ellen, kind of highlighted that a lot of travelers were confused when they edit their credit card information, like if they had to add their CVV code again, for example, if that had expired on the authorization form, it wouldn't then auto select the credit card they just edited. So they'd go down to click submit and they'd get an error that they have to select a credit card. But it's like, I just told you what credit card I wanted to use because I just added my CVV code again. So we just auto select the credit card now so they don't have to do, again, multiple clicks, get confused. That one was just a theme of support this week. And it was like literally fixed the same day it was flagged. So that's pretty cool.
And it was, I just like the error message was like, once we really looked at it, we're like, it wasn't even like, you need to select a credit card. It's like, cannot be blank.
Yeah. Really class error message there.
So, but it's been fixed, and now, and there's been so many. I mean, Jade, you were doing some support, and you said it came up like how many times? How many times do you see this?
Yeah, it's always because there's always that can't be blank. That's like the trigger that I know. Yeah, okay, this is something. And Molly, Ellen shared that, and then Molly said, "Well, let's fix it.
Fix it.
Let's fix it right now." Yeah.
And then the last one. Another David Shull, thank you for this one, saw in the Facebook community that there's a bunch of buzz around the fact that someone clicks to approve a trip. This is another traveler side issue. You click to approve a trip and you think you're done. But turns out there's active credit card authorizations that your advisor would also want you to make. So then there's like a ton of back and forth with the advisor. No, you have to click the next action again, like even though you already clicked the action there. And so now whatever next step is available, selecting rooms, authorizing payments, whatever is kind of ready and waiting for the traveler, after they approve the trip, they'll be automatically redirected. And that one I think should clear today. So just another huge traveler experience win.
And shout out to, I think it was Jolene in the Facebook group, and a bunch of people like called that out. I just pulled it up here. Melissa, Alyssa, Elaine, Sarah, like, seeing all this kind of comments in the Facebook group is like, yeah, okay, that's cool. And again, it was like the whole team effort here where it's like, I flagged it, but like between Molly and Spencer just being like, yeah, like we can fix that, at least make it way better in 20 minutes, right? Is like really cool. So
that's my final little spiel here. Like, what do all four of these things have in common? Spencer, our engineer, built them in a day. So just big props to Spencer. He like pinged me on the side to be like, oh, I have some free time. And he's going on vacation next week. So he didn't want to get into a whole project. So he's like, what quick wins could we do? And it was like, boom, all of these things.
Yeah. It's been, that's been really cool. And you should probably also like shout out Andrew, who's DRIing the commission reconciliation and rules, right? I mean, it's just really been cool. One of the things we've had people out, Zach, obviously out on parental leave as well, watching Kayla, Andrew, Rickard, like these engineering kind of teams like step up, and like they're all relatively new to Tern. James like leading one of the updates we're going to talk about here. Like it's been really cool to see kind of this next generation of engineer at Tern really kind of get into the groove. So shout out to the entire team on that. Hopefully, I don't know. I wonder how many of the engineers actually listen to this podcast. If you're listening, like, let us know. Anyway, we're getting back on track now. Let's talk about, so we talked about some really exciting wins. We're going to keep those coming, right? Like this is really kind of actually some structural things that we're kind of working on. Molly, do you want to talk about kind of what we're working on over the next week or two, and maybe kind of some of the team structure piece that we've kind of are trying starting next week?
Yeah, for sure. So, let's talk about team structure really quick, just for people who like to get an inside scoop into Tern and listen to the podcast for that reason. In R&D land, we, for the first time ever, are officially working in 2 engineering teams now. So we're going to have 2 projects going in parallel at any given time. We'll have a kind of each engineering team won't be assigned to a specific product area. Like they're going to work across our tech stack. But it will, like, kind of the members will stay the same. So they'll get, well-oiled machine, each of the teams, and it will allow us to kind of have better focus, I guess, sprint over sprint. So actually a lot of my week has been organizing and making sure we're ready going into next week, because we pulled the trigger on that pretty quickly. And then we have some cool features coming up that I've been working on. So we have some big upgrades to forms coming, which I'm not going to share too much more now, but I think people will be really hyped about those. Feedback that we've been hearing about forms for quite a long time. We're excited to.
Forms are perfect, I thought. There's things that we need to fix on forms?
They're absolutely perfect, yeah.
I'm shocked.
So that's been really fun to dig into. I was getting Brad's time on that before he left. So that was really fun. I've also been deep in spreadsheet land. If you've watched this podcast a lot, you know how much I love a good detailed spreadsheet. Looking at trip data, because we're trying to figure out better ways to help everybody get their trips into Tern more efficiently from other systems. So again, won't spoil too much there, but that's been a big part of my week this week. And then we're also specifically for next week, really starting work on what we're calling preferred suppliers for agencies. So this is letting kind of agency administrators say, this is our list of suppliers. It will highlight those suppliers when advisors and agents and ICs are going to book things, so that from reporting standpoint, you can actually have a consistent list of suppliers to then say, hey, Disney, I did this amount of sales with you, and that sort of thing. Since if you're not familiar, the crowdsourced list of suppliers can be a little bit like overwhelming if there's multiple of the same. So I know that will be a huge one for agency owners. Understanding
such a delicate way to say that. Like, it can be overwhelming.
a little messy. And if you're not a part of an agency and you're listening and you're like, I want that too, we're going to be using the kind of agency level to learn and improve how we're doing that. And we do plan in the future to introduce a similar concept on the advisor side too. So never fear, we're not forgetting about you as an advisor.
This is the first step of many of improving the way that suppliers are managed across the network. And like sort of the needle that we're trying to thread here is the best of both worlds. Like we know that like no agency list or any of these lists are going to have every company out there that you could want to sell, right? So you need this sort of flexibility, but in some ways having a standardized kind of like a supplier entity in turn helps with reporting and data integrity. And so that's why we're kind of like starting to begin with the first step here, and we'll continue to roll that out kind of network wide. And you'll still have the flexibility. You'll always be able to add a supplier. Hopefully you won't have to add every supplier, right? So finding the middle ground. So stay tuned, a lot more to come there. One thing also before Jade kind of talk about one of the updates I know you want to cover, but just on the structure piece, I think this is really cool. Molly kind of mentioned this, but it was like a very quick thing, right? Which is like, we're not assigning engineers to specific product areas. And this is actually sort of unique, I think, to Tern, like a standard structure, like when we're at Handshake or a lot of these other companies, right? You like, okay, your team is focused on just advisor features, or this team is just focused on agency features. And that can be like an efficient way to do it because you just have to know that code. But we expect to continue to grow really quickly at Tern, right? And like we want to move faster and faster and faster, which means that every one of our engineers today will be kind of the senior tenured engineers for the next generation of engineers that we hire. And if you sort of silo their knowledge into just one part of the product or just one user type, right, then it's like really hard to maintain this velocity and kind of knowledge as the organization grows. So really excited about that. It does mean, right, that like the ramp takes longer, but it means that long term, we have a much stronger kind of technical foundation to be able to kind of build on top of. So again, in the spirit of kind of like behind the scenes thinking of how we approach building a tech company and things that I think makes Tern kind of unique, wanted to kind of share that because it's investments we're making today to make sure that when you sign up for Tern or you maintain kind of your partnership or you're kind of on this journey with us, like we want to maintain this velocity for decades, right? This isn't like okay, we're going to sprint really hard for 2 years and then like call it good, right? Like we are making decisions today that allow us to be in it for the long game. So,
okay, well, since you brought it up, David, I have to elaborate because
let's do it.
So, just two other really cool things about doing it this way. For now, it's like something that we may adapt and change in the future, but by engineers having the full context, it also just like helps build good product. Because if you only understand like the agency persona and needs, all of a sudden, inadvertently, you could be doing things that actually make things worse for advisors and like just not really realizing it. Or on the flip side, if you're doing things for agencies, but you also deeply understand advisors, turns out if with a few more lines of code, you can actually make the same thing beneficial for advisors. Like, boom, that's so powerful to have. So having that 360 kind of context on travelers, advisors, agencies, suppliers, someday, like it's a really powerful place to be. And then the other thing is it just also helps us stay agile. So any given month, it's like, maybe we actually really need to spend the full week on just agency stuff or just advisor stuff. to build kind of the optimal stuff that's needed at any given time. And so we can, right? We don't have to say every week we have to make progress on this one specific area. Like we can stay agile as a team, which again just lets the momentum and velocity stay really high.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. It's like we make better decisions when everyone understands the full context. We saw how connected all the pieces are, even in commission rules. Like commission rules is an agency feature, but it has direct impacts on advisors. So we make better decisions when we all understand how they all fit together.
And this like knowledge, I mean, everybody listening to this knows the travel industry is crazy complex, right? Like there's so many layers, there's so many intricacies, there's so many different players, there's so many different business models and business types, right? It's like wildly complex. And so we think this like investment and knowledge and helping people, regardless of like what your background is at Tern, understand the industry and how the products that we're building are custom fit for it is really unique. And I think, one of the things that we'll see just in the kind of competitive landscape, right, is that as people try and match Tern's velocity and speed, you'll see more and more people trying to buy things off the shelf and plug them into travel, and it's just going to be really tough because travel is so complex. It is so nuanced that an off the shelf accounting tool or whatever it might be is just like not going to work for most agencies. And so this is, again, we think, as I think a lot in like kind of 1 to 5 year time horizons, like it's these seemingly little decisions, like how do we structure the team and how do we assign them work, that we think actually gives Tern the competitive advantage, not just today, but 10 years from now. So really exciting. I could talk about this all day, but that's maybe enough for this podcast. Let's talk about one other thing that people are super psyched about. Speaking of listening to users, implementing quickly, and major data model restructures being shipped with hopefully nobody noticing. Jade, what do we got going on next week?
Yeah, I hinted at this in the product announcement this week, but we'll be testing shortly on making dates and times optional as a part of your itinerary items. I think the dreaded 12 o'clock UTC is like just scattered throughout the Canny requests, and the Facebook group. So we're really excited to make sure that when you have itinerary items that don't necessarily have a time or are more flexible, that you can make sure that it's clear and not confusing to your clients, that it starts, at the default 12 o'clock UTC or some random time. So we're really excited to launch this. And it sounds like, just remove the time, like easy. And I think we hear that sentiment a lot, like, please just let me remove the time, but pretty complicated in how we actually split our date. I jump in, Molly and David, because there's a lot of history here, but we have our date and time field as one field. And so we actually have to split that out, which is complicated. And we want to make sure we do it right, that we don't mess with. A lot of your itinerary items do have times that are important. So we want to make sure that we're careful and take our time and really make sure that we do this right.
Yeah, it's one of those that I'm imagining I'm an advisor and seeing this issue and seeing how many upvotes it has in the feedback tool. I'm like, why hasn't Tern fixed this? Like, this is crazy. Like, it was a big project. So just like that's why we hadn't, but it's been a really important investment and excited to see it almost done.
And just like, I'm going to try and like give data models 101 here to help people understand this project, right? So like you have different types of data in a computer, right? You have like a number, you have a text field, right? And when you think about storing date and time data, you can store dates, you can store times, or you can store date times, which basically is a single field that represents both a date and a time. But because it's a single field that has a date and a time, it has to have a time. Well, way back when we're starting Tern, we're like, travel things will have times, right? Like we should just use a date time, right? So everything as Tern is built around this concept of date time. When you parse an itinerary with our AI parser, we've trained our AI model to give us back a date time field, not a date and a time, right? It's a single date time. And so that's just one of tons of different product areas where like we now have to go and update the way the AI writes the model. We have to update the way that we display this. We have to update the way that like when you add a cruise, like when we accept cruise data, when we think about hotel check-in times, like, I mean, literally dates and times are everywhere. And so every single one requires code going in, splitting it out, like updating the logic on how it should be rendered across the entire application, updating the database, think about migration. Like it is it is mind-bogglingly complex, and that's why we've been like, no. But shout out to Brian and James, like they're like, we're just going to tackle this. We're just going to get it done, and they're getting it done. And it is going to be one of those things that's really nice because now you can just go for a hike whenever you want to go for a hike. It doesn't have to be at 12 a.m. or 4 p.m. or whatever time you have to make up to make it work. It can just be whenever they feel like going for a hike, they can go for a hike or whatever your activity is, right? So there you go. Data models 101. That's all you need to know about how computers work. And we can move on.
And also, this is kind of cool. So before I went on maternity leave, I established a Molly's top 10 most wanted list, like for criminals, but good. And
engineers that are going off roadmap, is that it? Yeah.
Yeah. And 6 out of 10 of those have either been fixed or added or are in planning as we speak. So pretty cool. The anti-criminals are being tackled. I don't know. I'm really tired. I don't sleep at night because my son feeds all night. So
yeah. Well, I will say that Molly on no sleep is still like more energy and articulate than most people I've met on 9 hours of sleep. So, all right, we had a couple quick announcements that we need to talk about. We talked about the sale, a couple of save the dates. So if you're listening to this, there's a good chance that you're excited about our users conference where the wait list has been unbelievably received. We're really excited about that. We are kind of putting the final touches on the actual booking experience. We're hoping that we'll have that's starting to open up the first week of March at the latest. It's possible to come sooner. So if you're listening to this, keep an eye on your email. I'm hoping that next week we'll send an email to the waitlist letting them know when we will open up bookings and what the timeline for that is going to be. I would encourage people to save that date and time on their calendar because the waitlist had about 100 cabins more interest than we have. So we expect this to be tight. If we do sell out, we'll go to Virgin and see if there's opportunities to expand that. But this sailing is actually booking up pretty quick, so we're not sure that will be an option. So you'll want to jump on that pretty quick. We are working on getting some speaker content and lineup. Like we've got, I think some pretty cool things that are coming together. So it'll be high quality content. You'll have the team from Tern there to spend time with you. We'll have and every single session is going to be focused on how do you learn something and then how do you immediately apply it to Tern. And of course, we'll have some pretty big product launches and we'll have some deep dive sessions into how to leverage those. So those will keep kind of under wraps and make a little bit more of a surprise perhaps. But with that, and then the other thing, we do have 2 webinars coming up in March. We'll start to promote these. The first one, though, is on March 6th at... Definitely should have written down the time. March 6th at, frantically looks through calendar, 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, time is optional. That was funny. That was...
Yeah.
In case you want to know what we think is funny at Tern, that's it right there. So we love a good date time joke. It is at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and it's going to be focused on kind of the end-to-end flow for agency owners. We will talk about the things that were being kind of done and have happened on the advisor side as well. So we do think it'll be valuable to both. But if you're an advisor listening to this, part of an agency or a host agency, you'll definitely want to invite them to this. If you want to get rid of sales reports in your organization, great way to casually let them hey, Tern's going to be talking about how the agency back office is progressing. Maybe check it out. And as always, we'll record it. We'll be kind of promoting it. And then later in March, we will be having a kind of release where we talk about a bunch of updates on that are more geared towards individual advisors that are kind of more focused on just like the selling travel aspect of it. So stay tuned for both of those. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in on this Valentine's Day. Jade, Molly, happy Valentine's. Molly, do you want to read the poem to everybody? No?
I do not.
Okay.
No, I do not.
The Coffee and Conversations question, Jade, you should introduce this. It was your question, just so.
I hosted Coffee and Conversations today, and my prompt to the team was to write Tern either the product or the team or our users a Valentine, and it was so much fun. I've been just giddy all day about it. I should have led my demo with this. I actually wrote a poem about how much I love commission rules.
Oh,
So,
do you have it? Can we just do it real quick? Because people will love this. We just like pull up the slide real quick. It's worth waiting. This is how we're going to end this episode. We should have started with it, but we're going to end this episode with the poem because this was maybe the best thing.
Like 10 minutes after she demoed it, that popped in my head. I was like, we're too far gone at this point. I can't bring it up, but I'm really
we're bringing it back.
Yeah, I was also wondering if I would be able to weave it in, but I forgot about it. But yeah, it was really so much fun, and it was a really great way to start the day. But yeah, let me share my screen here and I'll show you. I mean, I had no idea that it would even make its way to the podcast. So my Coffee and Conversations is really popular. But yeah, here's my, do you want me to read it or?
Yeah, no, we got to get the full narration.
Okay. Roses are red, reports are tight, commission settings saved me, love at first sight. Default dates pre-filled, types with such flair, personal travel, 100%, no need for a care. Rules that cascade, oh, what a dream. Admins with clarity, a well-oiled team. So here's my heart, it's clear and true. Commission rules, I'm obsessed with you. And it's actually, it touched on a lot of the features. It's really a great way to introduce the feature. I should have.
Yeah, no, we're going to cut that segment out, and that's what's going out on all the socials. So this is probably going to be the most watched podcast that we've ever had because of that. That's incredible.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate, out of all the Valentines Jade could write, she did an ode to a feature. Like, that's just that's a product person through and through right there.
Through and through.
I really am thankful to Commission Rules because it really helped me. I'm still getting started at Tern, and so truly, this was from the heart. Like, it really helped me kind of understand the whole thing. So it was real.
But Molly's response in chat was like, that may be the nerdiest thing I've ever seen. And like, we've seen some pretty nerdy things.
Yeah.
But we love it. Well, there you go, folks. There's no better way to end this Valentine's Day podcast than with a Valentine custom written by Jade and her assistant ChatGPT. So thank you for tuning in. As always, if you like this, let us know in the comments. If you click the like button, please share it. We do really appreciate that. We love spending this time with you all. Click on the subscribe button, get notified, and we will see you at the same time next week. Thanks all. Bye.